Welcome everyone to our special program broadcast you live from Al24 News. Abdelmadjid Tebboune has been re-elected as Algeria's president for a second term with 94.65%, an overwhelming majority for the independent candidate. And tonight we'll be breaking down that for you and what it means for the country. So stay tuned for a closer look. Abdelmadjid Tebboune has been re-elected President of the Republic with a landslide victory, securing 94.65% of the vote. The President Tebboune obtained more than 5 million votes. Candidate Abdelali Hassan Sharif secured more than 170,000 votes, which is 3.17%, while candidate Youssef Aouchiche received more than 120,000 votes, equating to 2.16%. And to discuss this, we're having with us tonight Mr. Abdelnour, political analyst. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Abdelnour. Turnout rate, we discussed a little bit about the turnout rate that we have seen yesterday. So Algerians made their choice. We had a preliminary turnout rate of about more than 48%. A respectable one since in comparison to the one in 2019, which was only 39%. So can we say that the citizens' participation in the voting process in this snap presidential election means that there is more awareness about the importance of the vote?
It is, in fact, a strong message this message was sent by the voters on one hand, and also this confirms also the clarity of the re-election of President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, who has demonstrated his program via his program, and also the outline that he set in the previous term, which means that the voters now are comfortable, and also the voters have shown a strong trust toward the President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, in which the voters gave him a solid political capital, and this has been again demonstrated by the landslide victory. On the other hand, it does also show that the voters actually they didn't vote ideologically or socially. They did vote for, again, stability, security, prosperity. These three elements are also the imperative of the next administration, in which this social mobilization means also, again, as a result, accountability. Therefore, Algerians now are continuing and actually to some extent supporting the President Abdelmadjid Tebboune in his lead through this peaceful political transition for the next generation. And it is, again, that has, I mean, in this race, they were through generation. I mean, the pre-independence, the post-independence, and also, I would say, the post-New Algeria that were again 20 years after the independence, meaning by this of the 82, because we saw the candidate of the FFS party, Mr. Aouchiche, who was born after 1982. So all these three elements that have, again, gave a strong message not only for the locally, but also regionally and internationally, meaning by this that the democratic process that started 5 years ago is now in healthy position, which means that Algerians are well mature and also well ready for the challenges.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that they're more mature. So how do you interpret the significance of this participation rate in Algeria's political landscape?
It is, again, I mean, actually surprisingly enough, because these elections, especially the day, I mean, occurred in a hottest day. I mean, usually we have this expression, the voters go fishing. I mean, in this case, they go swimming, but they didn't go, and they insisted to show up to the polls and express themselves, and gave, again, a political capital to President Tebboune to continue in his lead, trusting his program and looking forward for a new Algeria and a new strong Algeria, and also new powerful Algeria, regionally, regionally and internationally.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Abdelnour, some media outlets described the election as the first victory, referring to the calm atmosphere. We haven't seen any incidents or no drama whatsoever was reported during the voting process. Do you think this reflects a new chapter in Algerian politics?
Again, actually, it's a strong message, because for the, again, speaking about clarity and also the peaceful process, and Algerian has also all the voters have shown their maturity, and also by pushing for this process. I mean, it's a learning process, it takes time, but we are there. And this is, again, a strong message for anyone who tries to bash out, to launch the Algerian bashing.
So what are the challenges that are lying ahead after this?
I mean, the challenges are huge. I mean, to some extent, I mean, locally and internationally, especially locally. I mean, the big challenge that the new administration will be facing is economically, and also because we saw, I mean, the voters also have sent a message that we are behind you, we are here, and we do believe in this process, but also again, there is accountability, and this accountability comes via wise public policies that will be matching, or at least go to the expectation of the voters, and notably the youth, and this go for unemployment and so on. And this will be set by the president himself, and in his program, and this program that will be carried out by the new government, who, this coming new cabinet will be having, again, solid, has political capital, but it's a huge responsibility, because, again, accountability is there. So if there is security, stability, prosperity, there is also accountability as well.
So while many headlines have praised the smooth running of the election, we spoke about this a minute ago, the Algerian election has faced criticism and propaganda, extensive propaganda campaigns from foreign media. Why do you think foreign media frequently adopt this hostile language, negative language, or stance towards Algeria?
Actually, when we speak about Algeria, it's Algeria. I mean, it's Algeria. It's its political position, its geographic and geopolitical, geoeconomic positions. And yeah, I know. I mean, you are making a reference to what happened with the French outlet. I mean,
this is French outlets, and also foreign ones that are not French.
And this is the attitude of the other, who still believe that Algeria is, again, it's a banana republic, and Algeria is not a banana republic. Algeria, it's a strong country, has shown itself and its, position itself in this posture of the tumultuous geopolitics that are and geoeconomics as well, that are around Algeria is facing today. So for France, and as we all know now, the Algeria-France relation, they could be anything but normal. They cannot be normal. And this goes for history and also the challenges that France is facing and how the French diplomacy is on decline. So, and we have this saying, charity begins at home, and we saw what's happening with the French administration, and that President Macron himself is facing serious challenges at home, and he lost totally credibility. So the French media, they should focus on their internal politics and leave Algeria alone, because Algeria, again, as I said, is not a banana republic.
Yeah, right. But in your opinion, what drives this attitude? What is behind all of this negative speech and, say, propaganda campaigns?
Because, they don't want to see Algeria leading. Because Algeria went through a very, very difficult time in the last 3 decades. And today, Algeria is emerging and also is positioning itself as a rising state. So therefore,
an emerging country.
Emerging, and also is a rising state. Geoeconomically, geopolitically, and geoeconomically, in terms of geoeconomics and geopolitics, are challenging these. Their interests, particularly France, and notably in the Sahel, and even in the Maghreb. So all these elements don't let those countries push this country to look at Algeria, or at least it's a game. To try to destabilize Algeria, and we saw that what's going on in the Sahel, and notably in Mali, and what's going on also in Libya, and therefore, so Algeria now is, has, especially the last 3 years, with its strong foreign policy and active foreign policy, and succeeded to some extent to position itself on this posture, despite all these turmoil elements that are shaking and to some extent shaping the world order. So Algeria is on this, again, good track, but also needs also to be, step ahead toward all these challenges that we'll be facing. And for instance, we have, speaking about the Sahel, we have the migrant issue. And now, for instance, like there are other countries who try to use this destabilizing factor to destabilize Algeria. But Algeria is, again, preparing itself for it, and is ready to these challenges via a good and wise public policy, and also using its preemptive actions, diplomatically and militarily, if it's needed indeed.
So speaking of the challenges, for the next 5 years, if you can name what are the main political and security challenges that will face the country and the next president?
Actually, in terms of national security, it's the big issue now. It's the migrant issue. Because these elements has become a serious destabilizing factor in terms of national security, and also it's a human tragedy. This is why Algeria now needs to have a humanitarian diplomacy, and by enhancing its role in terms of humanitarian aid, and this needs to have, again, like many branches, starting with local NGOs, and it needs, capacity building, it needs training, and also it needs a mentality.
New mentality.
Exactly, a well-set mentality and a mindset as well, in order to be able to face these challenges, because it is, again, start with a human tragedy, but it was also a national security issue. And we all know, the large land borders of Algeria from east to the west, and of course, and particularly on the Sahel borders. So all these elements need serious public policy with strategy. Now, speaking of strategy, we need to think strategically, and this also will help for the policymakers to focus now via strategic centers and also kind of think tanks who will be focusing on this and establishing ideas and why not policies to help the policymakers to face all these challenges that Algeria will be facing and will be facing very soon. I mean, near future. And politically, it's, I mean, the fact that people are trusting the democratic process, I mean, the smooth democratic process that is taking place, that was initiated by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune himself, it's a good sign. And people need now to go and to vote, not only to vote, but also to start to organize themselves and to rebuild or to trust again the political parties and the civil societies. But the main role, and on the other hand, the political parties also, they have to organize themselves, because, I mean, we saw those in those two main political parties who entered the race. I mean, both parties are facing an identity crisis. So this leads to a loyal opposition and also a positive opposition in order to push forward and bring all these elements together for a strong and solid and healthy political process.
Political process. Now, you mentioned before that Algeria has marked its strong return to the diplomatic or international diplomatic scene. We've seen Algeria lately in the UN Security Council and at many levels doing great job diplomatically under the wise leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune. In your opinion, how will he maintain the same diplomatic momentum, and maybe how to further develop this diplomatic momentum?
Actually, Algeria has a tradition to have a strong foreign policy and a solid diplomacy. And this goes to, again, decades. But it was enhanced lately, and we saw that how the role of Algeria in the UN Security Council, and also its all initiatives among, whether on African Union, and also, I'm sorry to say that, in the irrelevant Arab League, that again, Algeria has played a major role, I believe, in 2022 when they held the Arab League Summit, and how Algeria brought all the Arab nations together and also played a major role to reset the Palestinian house, and that bring the Palestinian factions together and again moved forward for Palestinian unity. So Algeria has all this tradition, but Algeria also cannot do it by itself. I mean, it needs, again,
support.
Not only support, but also partnership. And this partnership needs to be trusted. And again, so Algeria can be a major and pivotal actor on the integral process. Meanwhile, it needs also to be to enhance its bilateral relations in order to push forward to face all those challenges that the Arab nation is facing, the Muslim world is facing as well. And unfortunately, we saw what is going on. I mean, now, at this moment, we're speaking in Palestine, and how the leaders of the Zionist entity, I mean, are again having like a free rein, as if there is no accountability, there is no impunity.
Now, in the West Bank as well,
and speaking about the entire occupied Palestinian territory, indeed.
Now, maybe speaking a little bit more about the economic sector, we've seen mega projects here and there that have been completed while others are underway. So we've seen today a report by the CREA, the Council for Algerian Economic Renewal. It believes that President Tebboune's mandate will open new economic perspectives. What specific sectors do you think will witness growth in the coming 5 years?
Actually, it's a good question because we saw, strategically speaking, Algeria has launched all these big strategic projects, starting with the Garj Bilat project and also the Trans-Saharan pipeline, and also the Algeria has again integrated the BRICS bank, and all this, it does help on the macroeconomic and on the strategic level. But again, Algeria also needs to develop again local and industry, and in order to create more jobs for the again the unemployed youth, and that will help to stability, to prosperity, and in the end of the day for the clarity. Therefore, all these elements will help Algeria to be again a serious actor and a serious pivotal state, and also a solid state economically, politically, diplomatically, and militarily.
Right. Maybe to bring some numbers in our discussion, during his first term, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune was credited with driving economic progress, including a 4.6% growth rate and an increased non-hydrocarbon exports. Do you believe the country can continue in this path of diversifying its economy, and what key areas could perhaps be prioritized in the next 5 years?
And actually, indeed, I mean, it should continue on this, and in order to be not to get dependent only on oil hydrocarbon revenues as well. And the sector that needs to be again invested in is in fact agriculture. And we saw that, I mean, there are some results, I mean, positive results, I mean, are coming up and showing that Algeria is, in fact, improving on this sector. But also there is, I mean, again, small businesses, to encourage small businesses. I mean, without speaking about the startups, companies, or this is good, but again, they still not helping the growth. I mean, the sectors that will help the economic growth are to create jobs, and also will push to again for exportation and so on. So all this will create a solid, gives to the country again a solid position, and also coming back to stability, because the Algerians, I mean the consumers will be secured and feel that there is some changes, there is development, and in the end of the day, Algeria is moving forward. And when we speak about a new Algeria, this is a new Algeria that the citizens are looking forward at, and also want to say, I mean, to sum up all this, they want Algeria to lead, and they want Algeria to be that Algeria they know. I mean, Algeria that we all know. So to this point, Algeria will be, again, a competitor country. I mean, start in Africa, in the Arab world, and in Eurasia also. And we saw Algeria now with this strategic partnership with Turkey. It is, again, a serious partner. And also we saw that its strategic partnership with Italy, and eventually with Spain, and to Germany. All these countries will be looking at Algeria as a serious and trustworthy partner. Therefore, Algeria will be, again, position itself in this new posture of, again, multiplying its partnership via, again, an active diplomacy, and also will give to Algeria to be an independent state from any pressure or pressures from let's say the superpowers, like for instance China, the US, or Russia. And we saw that Russia now, I mean, lately has been, I mean, again, playing kind of ugly game in the Sahel. And all this, we saw that because of the Algeria is again challenging these serious and credible superpower with Russia, for instance, via the sub-Saharan pipeline project. And knowing that Algeria, I mean, Algeria-Russian relations are strong and solid and historic, but Algeria also needs to again to be strong on this, and in order to be independent. And in the end of the day, Algeria will have its solid maneuvers in terms of negotiations, and also again to position itself and have a say on the international stage.
Speaking of the international state and the global market, looking ahead to the new term, what should be the main focus, if we want to name it, to boost its economy? As you said, we need to be independent, fully independent if we can, independent of any pressures. And how can it enhance its integration into the global market?
I mean, Algeria has a solid card. It's again, as you mentioned earlier, it's an hydrocarbon. So, and this card, it's no doubt, I mean, it's going to last forever.
Forever,
because
right.
it is a strong, again, factor economically speaking.
It's reliable.
It's reliable as well. And also there is an international market that still need these products. So, but Algeria also has, again, another possibility. As I said, it's agriculture. And also Algeria could position itself, and again, bilaterally speaking, I mentioned Turkey, I mentioned Italy, I mentioned Spain, I mentioned Germany, and again, on the African market, I mean, there is Nigeria, there is South Africa, and other countries. Ghana, for instance, I mean, we saw, again, that this Senegal. So all these countries are interested to deal with Algeria, and they know the position of Algeria, and also that Algeria is a trustworthy partner, and also for the stability of Algeria. I mean, politically speaking, Algeria now is a stable country. And again, going back to the democratic process that is taking place, all these factors send a strong message for foreign investors to invest and to come in Algeria and invest. But on the other hand, Algeria also needs to have, because speaking of growth and social mobilization and accountability, but there is the rule of law as well. So all these 5 elements, they go hand to hand for, again, stability. But in terms of business, it's trust.
It's built on trust. Speaking of investments, you just mentioned investments. We know that there are a lot of economic challenges, not just in Algeria, but it's worldwide. We've seen this after COVID-19, after the war between Russia and Ukraine. It's a lot of, like, we can say that it's a lot of economic challenges, right? Inflation everywhere. So what are the most promising sectors for investment and development in Algeria?
Actually, again, there is agriculture. There's medical sector. And also, again, in terms of, again, strategic project, still hydrocarbon is a large and secure market. But the main 2 sectors are agriculture and medical field. Medical field.
But now, how can Algeria play and attract investments, foreign investments into Algeria? How can we make a strategy to make that possible?
And it will be started by, again, wise public policy and also flexible like for instance, the investment code, and because foreign investors, I mean, they like, I mean, as a market generally speaking, they don't like instability. So, and all this stability goes with the rule of law. And the rule of law here in this case will be through a flexible code of investments code that will be attracted for foreign investors. And I mean, not only foreigners, even Algerian investors who are abroad, because there are many of them who are sincerely interested to invest in Algeria. And these, again, create a solid relation between or within the economic actors, and also will lead to the foundation of trust between politicians and economics actors, because in the end of the day, again, the economy, generally speaking, or the dynamic of the economy, generally speaking, doesn't like instability. And when we speaking about instability in here, is a need a stable rule of law, and this rule of law will be enhanced by, again, the investment code, and also the will and the sincerity of the leaders in Algeria on one hand, and also the sincerity of the partners, the economic partners who will be investing in Algeria in those three main sectors. But there are other sectors, because
many sectors.
There are other sectors, because Algeria is still a fertile country, and there are potentials. And for instance, there is manpower, and also
human resources are available.
and the capacity, and also the formation, and people are well educated and are ready to
enter the workforce.
To enter the workforce, and I mean, are this force and enter the work market, and be serious actors in this path.
Right. Maybe speaking of a little bit of a different subject, not in economics, the national community abroad has voted this time in relatively large numbers. We've seen this time particularly that they were there, they were voting, they were happy about it, they were present. It somewhat reflects the community members that they are attached to their homeland, particularly after the many initiatives taken by the Algerian state over the few last years for their benefit. We've seen a policy regarding that. In your opinion, will this further consolidate the bonds of Algeria with its children residing abroad?
Actually, I mean, this is Algerians abroad. I mean, they never leave Algeria. I mean, speaking whether emotionally or even actively when it is needed. And their heart is always in Algeria, as we say. Unfortunately, for the last, I would say, 3 or 4 decades, it was kind of, as we say in French, laisser-aller, and all this wasn't well structured. And because I live abroad, so when we speak about the Algerian community, unfortunately, there is not a community, there are communities. To some extent, I mean, we use this term in plural. But lately, I would say the last 5 years, there is kind of a new dynamic, and also national feeling, not only toward the flag, but also, because I'm speaking by this, it's not about a soccer game. I mean, the national team is playing, and just take the flag and take the sweet and show your, I mean, emotionally speaking, show your feeling to Algeria. There is sincerity, and Algerians abroad, especially the youth, and graduated the one who are university graduated, are willing to come, speaking earlier about investments, and come and to invest
in their homeland,
in their homeland, in the lands of their parents, their grandparents, and so on. And there is also this new kind of a positive nationalism vis-à-vis their country. And we saw that in France, for instance, and now the youth are massively showing their, again,
their love, attachment,
their attachment,
patriotism
to Algeria. So all this, and we saw that, actually, I noticed this, for instance, in Turkey. I was in Turkey, and when President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, in the first state visit to Turkey, I mean, the Algerian community in Turkey showed up, and they had constructive discussion with the president. And now there are actually at diplomatic level, there is this new mentality of our diplomats abroad who are again approaching the community, and there is trust between our representative abroad and the community who lives, for instance, in the UK or in France, even in the US.
Thank you very much. We're running out of time.
My pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Mr. Abdelnour Toumi. Thank you very much for your invaluable insights, and thank you, dear audiences, for your trust, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.